Okay then guys, let's have a quick look at this paper then. This is a C3 paper for AQA Examination Board, January 2011. The good thing to do when you go into at the start of an examination rather, is to have a quick look through the questions, however brief, but I think it's necessary simply because you assimilate the questions that you've looked at, so your mind subconsciously then will start figuring out ways to solve them. And you'll also be able to select which questions you would like to do first, because it's always a good practice to do the questions that you've done the most work for and you find relatively easy. And that gets you off to the best possible start. And the questions that you find awkward or take an inordinate amount of time, it's generally good practice to leave them towards the end. A lot of examinations boards put the longer and harder questions at the end anyways, but there are some tedious and time-consuming questions interspersed throughout the paper as well. So with those thoughts in mind then, let's have a quick look at this paper. We'll flick through the questions as we go down. Got the usual rules at the front cover that are customary. Okay, differentiation here. This is differentiation, product function, tangent, basically. Tangent to this at this curve. Lovely question, good question to start. So no problem with doing question 1. That's a nice question then, so that stands us in good stead. Question 2, you've got this equation here for x bigger than 3. Intersects a line, show that a root value. Rearrange this equation into this. So the root value when this equals that, well, you do the difference at that and the difference and input this value and show they change in sign, don't you? So that's relatively easy. Slightly time consuming, and again here we've got an iteration formula, it looks like. But if we use our calculator effectively, then this shouldn't be too bad. But it is slightly tedious and time consuming, so we may want to not quite do that one second in the order of priorities, and maybe leave that till a little later in the exam. Here's implicit function, differentiation, input a value and sketch the graph. Nice question, easy to do, double quick time in doing it. So that's a good question. Number 4 then, let's have a quick look at that. Here we go. F and G, range of F, inverse of F of X. Yes, solve this equation. Write down an expression for G of F. So it's a long question, many parts, but each part is really not that bad. So yes, it's slightly tedious, but not quite as tedious as the iteration one in some ways. But there's not much in it actually, when you think about it. Question 5, this is a good little simple little question, which is nice. So I tick this one off as one to do quite quickly. An integration by substitution. So we can write the answer down straight away, and here's integration by parts. And one constituent part is a function of a function. So if you're comfortable with integration, that's a good one to do toward the beginning parts of the examination. Next, question 6 then, mid-alternate rule. We just apply, it's the simplest of all rules for evaluating integrals, to work out this integral here to 3 significant figures, and then substitution to work it out exactly. So that's nice, because in a sense one underpins the other, doesn't it? In terms of they're different integrals. So you just solve this exactly. And it's a separate problem. So there are 2 separate parts to that question. So that's fine. Quite like that question there. Part B is very easy. Part A is just using a rule. A little bit tedious, but still not too bad. Sec, so you get cos is a minus a fifth. Solve it, that's fine. Rearrange this to that, which looks nice. It doesn't look nice, but in practice I should think this will come out quite easily. Times by sine top and bottom here, and then cross multiply the fraction. It should all come out then, shouldn't it? And then solve this. When you get this, substitution, solve this, and that's a nice easy question. Good question to do, looks hard, but isn't really hard at all, really, is it? So let's have a look at the next one now. So there's some nice ones and not so nice ones, aren't there? Number 8, you've got this function here, this curve here. Solve this, take logs. So basically with logs, this is written in indices form, isn't it? To take a log, you just basically, this e swings down to the base, so you've got natural logarithm of 4, and this index then drops down to ground level. So minus 2x is ln4. You can solve for x, so that's an easy question. Here's a curve. You've got these points A, B and C where it crosses, and a maximum M. Find the coordinates of A and B and the stationary point M, then rotate the volume, which is nice and easy. Should be easy, although the numbers might be awkward when you come down to here, mightn't they? That might need some careful attention. I think actually when on recollection it is super awkward because of the quirk of the calculator when you write this, because the calculator sometimes won't give a fractional answer, so you've actually got to use fractions by hand, I think, for some calculators in part of this problem. So check that out when you get to the solution. So I think that's the end of the paper then. Looks like we're coming to the end there. So we've had a quick look through. Normally it wouldn't take as long as I've taken there to look through the paper, but just get a general overview. Then your brain is subconsciously working on the questions, which can save some time in the long run. And of course when you finish all the questions and you've had a go at them all the ones you can do, then it's good practice not to go out of the exam early, but to double check your answers when you've double checked them all, and then triple check them. So eke out every last possible mark you can and use up the full allotted time, every second of it, so that you get as good as possible mark as you can. So as I say, all the best then guys if you're taking a C3 paper in the near future, and I hope these thoughts and sentiments have been a little helpful in some ways. So hopefully I'll catch you again in another live worksheet. Cheers!